Hello.
Hello, Mike.
Welcome. It's Katie Ratio. We think we're live. If we are, as you can see,
I think
we are.
I got the alert. All right, we're good. Hello, welcome to the
Hello.
Katie Ratio. It's your designated podcast for all things nerd. We do an audio check. We don't. Our tech guy's in here right now. All right, we're good.
There we go.
He's out tonight. Yeah, he said he quit.
When
But
we kicked him out of his house.
we kicked him out of his own house, and we are still recording in his house.
Yep. Our
That's,
house.
It's our. Yeah, we. I bought the bank, as Batman would say.
I bought the bank.
All right, but no, he might be joining us later. We'll see. What's on the agenda tonight? What do you want to start with?
Well, let's talk about Exodus.
I'm finally getting pumped for this game.
Matthew McConaughey.
I don't know what he's playing right now. He's just kind of voicing the lore
voice?
videos.
Yeah.
He's but I don't know what kind of character he's playing. That's a very small portion of this.
I know, it's much bigger than just Matthew.
So, from the creators of Mass Effect, we know that.
Some of them.
Some of the creators.
Not BioWare, but like a
not
new
BioWare
studio.
themselves, but so I believe Drew Karpyshyn is involved in the story of it. He wrote Mass Effect 1 and 2. He also wrote my favorite game of all time, Knights of the Old Republic.
Ooh.
So he's the writer on this. He also... What's this?
We just ignore that, Billy said.
All right.
I asked him about it. I saw it last time too.
Okay. He also, another member, was one of the lead quest designers, I want to say, of Mass Effect.
Okay.
Of 1 and 2. A lot of people from Mass Effect 3, I don't think, are involved in this. But it looks exciting. So I haven't really, other than reading like the lore, or like the story updates of everything, I haven't had a chance to really look into this game. Have you seen all the trailers?
So I wanted to pull up real quick. So talent from BioWare, studio head James Olin, who'd previously worked on Dungeons and Dragons role-playing games such as Baldur's Gate series, among other titles, with Chad Robertson and Drew Karpyshyn. So those three guys, Drew Karpyshyn we know from Mass Effect, and as he said,
Drew Karpyshyn wrote the story for Knights of the Republic, Mass Effect 1 and 2, I know for sure. And I know he also wrote some of the books for Mass Effect. Having him alone is a huge plus.
and then James Olin, who previously worked on Dungeons and Dragons role-playing games like Baldur's Gate. So he's also
He did Baldur's Gate. Okay.
So they've got a pretty stacked group here. And did you know it's owned by Wizards of the Coast? Archetype.
Is it?
Yes, Archetype is
Is that why Wizards of the Coast is being so stingy with Larian?
maybe. Yeah, the
Because
Austin, Texas-based
Now
studio.
we have our own.
yeah,
game
they can
studio.
make Baldur's Gate 4. But yeah, created by Wizards in April 2019 to
Okay.
develop new intellectual property outside of Wizards existing.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, that's interesting. I didn't know they were owned by Wizards. I don't know how I feel about that. But so I watched the first trailer I finally watched. It's like the cinematic one. It sets up that this is going to be a kind of like hard sci-fi, and that it's going to be dealing with like time dilation a lot, and black holes moving at the speed of light, really making things wonky. That's one thing that in sci-fi games that you don't really ever even worry about.
No, Mass Effect kind of
Mass Effect just
Matt
ignores
Wand
it
waves it
altogether.
away with, oh, you have the mass relays.
Yeah, they ignore that altogether. Obviously games like Starfield and they don't really talk about. Can you travel faster than light in Starfield? I didn't play it long enough to even know that.
I
to be
didn't play it
honest.
long enough either. I know they deal with gravity because that's where
Do
you
they?
get your
Okay.
magic,
So I mean,
gravity magic.
that's like Mass Effect.
Yeah. But yeah, so I don't know. I didn't play it long enough to know. I think you got it because you go between star systems.
So
I don't know.
I don't know. Can't speak on that. But the story looked really cool. So it's two people. They're like going through this museum, and this guy's like talking about all the great discoveries that this woman has made. That's advanced civilization. And in the meantime, there's this guy that's been with her the whole time. And then he kind of at the end of the tour, he like steps up and he was like, I was with her the whole time. For her life is already over. For me, it was only a couple days or whatever. And it shows this like honorable sacrifice he did to save her when she was about to die. And then the trailer ends with him like putting his hood on all badass, like and walking out. And they've confirmed that the story the choices you make and the things that you do is going to affect the story. One of the things being there's like a hub world. It's not completely open world, but there's lots of hub worlds and like that. And if you do something that like this will be a time dilation effect of like 25 years or whatever, it'll change the hub world. They say that it's going to be different depending on the choices you make. And then so I'm super excited to see something like this fleshed out, but it makes me concerned because we've been burned by these types of lofty promises in the past.
And I mean, like narratively, I'm excited too for, like you said, the trailer. The thought of you can keep like maybe throughout missions you keep running into a character and you see them like grow up and like, you know, you can kind of tell a full story in a short game, or not a short game, but in a game that would take multiple games to tell, but you kind of skip along it. So I think that'd be really cool. But yeah, I hope they can deliver on their promises because it's pretty lofty promise right now.
Yeah. And then, so the second trailer that I watched for Exodus was, it was a gameplay trailer. So I don't know if have you seen that one?
Is that the one that was at the Game Awards or something like that?
Was that the Game Awards this year?
No, I think it was like last year.
They just came out with the trailer like a month ago. This one was like this was like a gameplay trailer. This one focused on a completely different main character. I think it's the player character. His name's June.
Okay.
And it shows him, the time dilation guy from the first trailer, and a woman as like the three characters. And they said there's more like team members to be revealed as they go along, like squad mates. But right now, those three are the ones that seem to be like the main characters. The gameplay looks really good. Looks really exciting. Some crazy stuff, like there's like this giant like bear that's like twice the size of a grizzly bear, and it's like wearing like mechanical armor, and you're like fighting it, and like so, and then there's like you're talking to this like frog that has like it's like, you know, sentient, and it's like talking to you. It's like, thank you for saving my kin or whatever, and it shows you fight this like giant demon frog thing, and so like it from the first trailer to this one, I was like, this is way out of like
you're like, whoa,
what is happening here? And I don't know, it's like, are these aliens or are these mutated like earth creatures or like, you know, what is going on here? But the trailer so far have looked really good. They've done a lot of world building.
I just read when I was looking up the creators, did you know they did an episode on Secret Level?
I haven't watched Secret Level yet.
Me neither. A whole episode about Exodus.
A whole episode.
Yeah.
They did also a whole episode about Concord though too, so I don't know if
but I mean, that's more world building.
Dependent on,
they're really going into it.
Yeah. Or I don't know. It's not just it's not a PlayStation exclusive, is it?
I don't think so.
I think it's on all platforms.
Sony, let's see.
I'm pretty sure it's on all platforms.
Did they say like release date?
No, that's the thing. That's the other reason why I don't want to get myself too excited, because it could be the gameplay in the last trailer says pre-alpha footage. So I'm like, oh god, it's not even gonna look like this when it comes out. But I'm pretty sure it's on all platforms.
Oh damn, there's an Omniblade.
Is there an Omniblade?
There's like an image.
What's their version of an Omniblade?
It's this really blurry image.
Hollow Blade. It does kind of look like an Omniblade. That was for Thane, you son of a bitch.
It's just straight up Mass Effect.
Well, a lot of people are saying that this is the spiritual successor to Mass Effect. I don't know if it's fair to call it that because it's its own story. And it seems to me that this is definitely different from Mass Effect. Like Mass Effect has had a good story, good characters, good world building, but I think a lot of the reason Mass Effect was so successful, yes, it had great characters and stuff like that, but I think a lot of it was because it had such a good villain
Yeah.
in the Reapers. I think that's what really makes that game enjoyable for me. I think your hero characters are only strong as the challenges they're trying to overcome.
Well, and yeah, it's such a strong threat, but then you also have like the great. I don't see anything about it being exclusive. That's what I'm looking for here. I don't see.
Okay, I don't think it is. I just wanted to check.
But maybe
I said that.
Sony they did a deal or something like that. Oh, you can become a founder.
Let's do it.
All
What are the
founders-
benefits of being a founder?
You get a
Your name
Founders
on the
Exodus
Declaration of Independence?
spacesuit. You get a patch that shows you're an early founder, and the Traveler Star emblem, inspired by Matthew McConaughey. The Traveler Star emblem, at the center of the Founder's Aegis suit belt, tribute to the brave heroes.
We gotta figure out who does Matthew McConaughey?
That's the belt you get.
Oh,
If you guys,
because he's from Texas. Is that what?
because it's from Texas. If you guys don't know, you guys should look it up. The Founder's patch looks cooler than that, in my opinion.
It does.
Um,
Who does Matthew
McConaughey
McConaughey
play?
endorse for president? That's the first thing that comes up with.
But yeah, I was saying with Mass Effect, one thing besides having that big villain, you also have the really well written villains like Saren. Saren's probably my favorite villain
Or
in the series.
yeah, or even Elusive Man.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Shoot. Actually, he might be. I don't know. I like Saren because Saren. I know you can redeem the Elusive Man a little bit, but I feel like with Saren, it's much more satisfying to break through to him.
Is
Because he was the same as you. He was a Spectre. Versus
Saren,
Elusive Man is just like smart.
Saren represent. It's weird how they did this, but Saren represents the synthesis ending.
Yeah.
Elusive Man represents control, and then
Anderson
represents the destroy, and that's also another reason why people are like they pull towards destroy being canon
because Anderson.
because Anderson is the representative of that.
I
But-
don't know about that.
I don't know. I do see the merits of destroy. A forced utopia is a
Count
little...
sign of wild. Yeah. What did it say about Matthew?
Matthew McConaughey. I know we started talking about Mass Effect. Matthew McConaughey plays Cece Orlev. I have no idea who that's supposed to be though.
Yes, CC Cooper.
So he is Cooper. Cece is actually a sequel
To Interstellar.
I
That'd be
Knew it!
wild.
Matthew McConaughey plays Cece Orlev in the upcoming sci-fi role-playing game Exodus. Cece is a self-proclaimed spokesman and timeless observer who is an infamous citizen of Centauri.
Timeless observer. So he's probably going to be around the whole game.
So he's just gonna. Who knows? What if he's the bad guy?
What if he's Johnny? Like he's in your head the whole time.
Yeah, it's literally just a play on that.
It's Johnny Silverhand from Cyberpunk.
He comes in. All right.
You're like,
oh
"Oh, God."
he's here again. Dang it. I don't know. Matthew McConaughey is a very interesting guy, though, and I don't know what goes into his choices when he picks roles and things like that. But I was telling you earlier, I finally I'm listening to his audiobook, Green
Uh-huh.
Lights. Man, that is he has lived an interesting life for sure, and to the point where like there's some things he's saying that I'm like, is this real? Like, can I trust what he's saying right now? This seems like not reality. Like it seems almost like a
story.
story, and it's almost like listening to his audiobook, it makes me feel like, have you ever seen the movie oh god, what is it called? It's like called is it Real Big Fish? No, that's a
Big Fish.
Big Fish. This Real Big
With
Fish is like
Ewan-
a ska band.
Yeah, Ewan McGregor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that guy,
Yeah.
in Big Fish, that's what his book is like. Listening to it talk, I'm like, is this real? Is this like, I don't know. And I think everything he's saying is grounded in reality, and it actually has truth to it. But I think he's like, maybe I could be completely wrong. Maybe this is all real, but it seems like maybe he's embellished everything. And it's like, I don't know if I could trust him as a narrator for what he's doing. Like, he opens up and he talks about, his three brothers, and he opens up with this story about how love was like in his family. And it starts off where like his dad was working all day and he sits at the table and he's like, "Hun, can I get more mashed potatoes?" And she's like, "Here you go, fat man." And like started like testing him. And then he's like, "You better stop calling me fat man." And then she's like, "Yeah, you're just a fat boy." And that's his mom to his dad. And then his dad like he's like, "You better stop." And then the mom grabs a knife and then like just tries to attack him and stab him, and he's blocking it, and it gets all crazy, and then she slits his arm and he gets all bloody. And then like they get all intense and like start screaming at each other, and then he grabs her and then like just makes love to her right there at the in front, and like just in the living room. And he's like, "And that is how we McConaughey's." Like,
what?
Yes. And I'm like, what did I just hear right now? I'm like, what is... Matthew McConaughey has his own liquor called Pantalones. I'll have to try it.
It might be good. It's
be
like
good. So I said one thing, and
George
then
Clooney made one too.
and then Matthew McConaughey was telling the story of how every night he snuck out of his house. He would wait till his parents were asleep. He would sneak out and he would build in the forest this clubhouse, and he would build it, and he did it like for months and months. And then finally he built this like 13-story tall clubhouse in the forest. And it was his, I don't know, like one of the greatest summers he had as like a child and stuff. And so I'm like, I think all of this stuff happened in some fashion, but not in the way he's saying.
Not 13 stories.
Yeah. And I'm like, maybe I misheard that part, but maybe, I don't know. And then he told the story of like each one of him and his brothers all had this like rite of passage to become a man. And his dad didn't consider him a man until they did it. And for his older brother, who's like 10 years older than him, his passage was he got into like this brutal fist fight in the train yard with his dad. And like, it was like, it went on and on and on. And the son finally came out on top, and like his dad was all bloodied up, and he's like, "You're a man now." And I'm like, what? And then like Matthew McConaughey's version, like his dad challenged him to a fight, and he didn't do it, and he was all scared, and he's like, "Fight me." And he's like, "I'm not going to fight you, Dad." And then like, he's like, "And that was my moment to be a man, and I failed," or whatever. And then he goes on and tells these other stories. And then he goes back and he says, but then his dad got into a fight with some like door-to-door salesman or some shit, and it turned into like a fist fight. And he jumped in and he beat up his dad, the salesman or whatever. And then Matthew McConaughey jumped in and finished the salesman off and beat up the salesman. And then he was like, "And that was my rite of passage to being a man." And like, and it's crazy the stuff that he's talking about in this book. And then he talks about like,
oh my God.
Like, and then he was talking about his journey to become an actor, and all this stuff he's talking about is like verifiable. Like, these are things that happened, but like, it seems like I'm like, this is a movie. This isn't real life. This is a movie. And then he was telling this story about how his dad died. And I don't know if this was in the book, but he's telling this story, and he's like, his dad died because he had a heart attack while making love to his mom. And then like, his mom wanted the world to know how well endowed his dad was. So like, she made them carry him out like naked, like for like everyone to see. And I'm like, this is the same guy that was in The Wedding Planner? Like, what is happening right now?
Fool's Gold.
Fool's Gold, like all these rom-coms, Angels in the Outfield.
Failure to launch.
Failure to launch. Yeah. And so I'm listening to this, and I highly recommend this book.
Wow.
Whether or not this stuff is true,
Yeah.
I can't say. It may be true, it may not be true. But But either way, it makes for a very fascinating, entertaining story. Some of the stuff he's and
Sounds like it.
I'm getting to the point now where he's really starting to hit success. And he talked about like after he made a few movies, got like $1 million in his bank account. He traveled all of the U.S. and he has a dog and he pimped out this like GMC and has this big trailer behind it. And he goes from park to park and he asked this one like RV park owner, he's like, I need somewhere with good reception. I want to watch the game tonight. And they're like, oh, we don't have anywhere. And then, but you can come to the bar and hang out with us. And he hung out with all these people in the bar and like, was like gambling with them and like they were all buying each other rounds and
then they shot him.
and then he talks about like getting in like fights and then making friends and like, and I'm like, I don't know. No one's ever called him out on this. Like maybe it's all real. Oh, and then this other story with his middle brother who's adopted. He always wanted a dirt bike and his dad was hanging out with some buddies at a bar and they were like taking turns like pissing over each other, like seeing how high they could shoot their piss, like his dad, Matthew McConaughey's dad.
Yeah.
And
as men do.
As men do, apparently. And then Matthew McConaughey's dad held the record. It was like 6 feet, like 6 feet tall. So you're standing, you could shoot it like 6 feet tall. And then there was a guy came in, he was 6'9", and he was like, if you can shoot it over me, I'll give you anything you want. And he tried, and he couldn't do it. And so Matthew McConaughey's dad was like, double or nothing. I bet you my son can do it. And he was like, I'll bet you anything that your son can't do it. And then he saw like a dirt bike in the corner of his eye, and he was like, I'll bet you that dirt bike that my son can piss over the top of your head. And the guy was like, fine, do it, see what happens. So it's like 2 a.m. He goes home, picks up his son, and he's like, do you need to go to the bathroom? And he's like, yeah. And he's like, good, hold it. And then like makes him drink a bunch of water in the truck on the way back to the bar, drink a bunch of water. And then he's like, all right, this is my son. He's going to piss over the top of your head. And apparently he did. He pissed over the top of a 6'9" guy's head. And then and that's how he got the dirt bike for his son, was because.
So the first time it failed, the guy got pissed on?
I think what they were doing is they were putting a line on a wall. Okay. Like they were standing and putting a line on the wall.
And then seeing if they could go.
Seeing if they could. I think that's what, because I'm listening to the audiobook, so there are some things that I'm not catching quite on the, because Matthew McConaughey narrates himself. So it's just stuff like that, and I'm just talking about this book, but it's highly interesting. I'm not even touching on the parts where he went to the Amazon and floated the whole Amazon River completely naked, apparently with like a group of like 5 people. He spent a year in Australia as a foreign exchange student and like did some weird stuff there. And
wow.
It really is in its purest form. It's like a folktale. And
green lights.
That's his whole thing. He's like, in life you get red lights and you get green lights. But what people don't understand is most of the time when they get to those red lights, they'll leave. He's like, but a red light always turns to a green light. And so every time he tells one of these stories, one of these things, he always goes, he's like, green light. In the very Matthew McConaughey way, you know?
All right. Green light, green light, green light.
Like, all right. That was completely unscripted. And he's like, that's his most iconic line. And he said it was supposed to be a throwaway character that had one scene, and he wasn't Matthew McConaughey yet. He was just some unknown actor. And he basically, he had to put himself into that role. He's like, well, what is Wooderson like? He's like, he likes cars. He likes chicks. Or he likes cars. He likes weed. He likes chicks. And then he's like, that's 3 things. All right. And then that stuck in the movie.
You do a pretty good impression of him now. After you've been listening.
I've been listening to his book for...
You're like, I will become.
So yeah, I guess I guess I should have put a spoiler alert on an autobiography, but
I Is it a spoiler alert, or is it? I mean, I guess if it's your
I don't
first
know.
time reading it,
These are
but-
interesting, and I'm
And the
only
book's
I'm only
old.
about halfway. Yeah, it came out like 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm only about halfway through the book. But so far, I mean, I would give this. It's definitely like this is like a 90% out of 100.
Dang.
As far as like the entertainment scale, and I'm gonna just choose to believe that all of this happened in some way or another, and maybe he's just embellishing some things.
Or
But
is
like,
good storyteller.
he's a good storyteller. Maybe he's making things seem more crazy than they really
Yeah.
were. I don't know, but it's very interesting.
Huh.
So that's the guy that's going to be the bad guy, or maybe not the bad guy, or someone in Exodus.
Johnny Silverhand.
The dude, all right.
All right. Yeah, he comes. Oh God.
He's coming. It's Wooderson. Have you ever seen Days of Confused?
I have not.
Oh man.
I mean, I've seen the clip of him saying all right," but that's
so I watched it like I don't know, 5 years ago, maybe
Uh-huh.
a little longer. No, definitely a little longer. It was pre-COVID for sure, and it was entertaining, but I do feel like it's entered like this cult status
yeah.
that's not quite on the level of what people seem to think it is. Like it was okay. Like it definitely was good, but it wasn't like, you know,
Amazing. Didn't
Yeah.
blow your mind.
well, maybe I just don't understand. I need to understand that culture, you know.
Yeah, I mean, I feel that way about of quite a few cult movies, especially if you weren't part of like the fan base and like you come into it because you're like, oh, I heard good thing. Like to me, it's not an old movie, but Drive,
Yeah,
I don't get it. I don't get it. I watched it and I was like,
Drive.
that was okay. It wasn't. I was expecting my mind to be blown because the internet loves that movie, and I was like,
I think it's a certain subset of the
Yeah.
internet. Like,
oh. But I mean, it was good. That was a good movie. But yeah, I think it's interesting with bless you, cult movies because there's usually a reason why they didn't perform well when they first came out.
sometimes I get it. Like it's just the world wasn't ready. For
Yeah,
bad advertising. You know,
deals
marketing. Yeah, like I don't know. There's a lot of reasons why.
like Firefly.
Firefly, the studio, not studio,
Screwed 'em
the-
over.
the TV studio kind of messed it up. They didn't release it right. So, like, yeah, sometimes things are better appreciated after they've already been delivered on. But sometimes it's like, I don't know. It's all right.
Yeah.
It wasn't the only movie that I would say like deserves its. Well, there's a few movies that I know deserve their cult status.
Mm-hmm.
I think Pulp Fiction does. I do recognize it's not for everybody.
I haven't seen it yet, but yeah.
The Sandlot.
Ooh,
The Sandlot
Yes.
deserves its cult status. And I would argue the Goonies.
The
as well.
Goonies. I was gonna.
Yeah.
That's the one I was gonna say. Goonies. Goonies is so good.
I think Morbius eventually.
More
Craven.
probably. I don't know about Craven with that rhino scream.
Yeah.
I showed my coworkers that, and I was like, "No, this is real."
No one believes it's real.
No, they're like,
No.
"No way," and I was like,
It's real.
"It's real."
Like, what is he doing?
But yeah, Sandlot. Trying to think of cult movies. The Thing is a cult movie, right?
Yeah.
John
The 80s
Carpenter's
one,
Thing.
Yeah.
I love that one. I also love Big Trouble in Little China. That one, Escape from New York, another good cult film. Kill Bill.
That's, I don't know if by that point, Quentin Tarantino is a pretty known quantity. I don't think it's cult status anymore.
I think it's just a good movie.
It's a good movie. Let's see.
Back to the Future, you know,
Is The Breakfast Club a cult classic?
maybe Ferris
Maybe.
Bueller's Day Off.
Do those count?
I don't know about that.
The Lost Boys. Fight Club?
I can kind of see that one. I think it wasn't as popular as it was later when it came out.
I get what exactly makes something a cult classic?
I thought cult classic meant that when it came out, it wasn't popular or it was popular to a small group. And then over the years, that small group has grown.
Definition of cult classic. Cult classic is a movie or book that is devoted following and is considered to be excellent by a small group of people.
Yep. Okay.
Cult classics are often known for being transgressive, marginal, or underappreciated by mainstream audiences.
Hmm.
So a lot of these cult classics are just classics now.
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that they're like underappreciated by mainstream audiences.
Pacific Rim. It's a cult classic.
Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Never seen it.
It's weird. It's weird.
You're like, you're okay. The
I like
Burbs.
the music.
You ever seen The Burbs?
With Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks.
Yeah,
I watched that for the first time.
it's weird.
It was weird. It was good, but it was weird. Like Princess Leia's in it. It was all right. That one to me feels like a cult classic. Versus like Goonies. Well, yes, I don't. I think that one's more popular now. I think
Yeah.
it's like gotten out of the cult classic spot.
Yeah, I don't know if. Yeah, can a movie transcend beyond its cult classic status? Can it
I
just
think it
become
can.
a classic?
I think it can, because I think, well, Goonies is a great example because it's like to this point now it's huge, and then, I mean, I would almost the one example I can think of is like, so if we say that The Thing is a cult classic, obviously at some point it transcended that to get a sequel, like it had to become popular enough to where the studio was like, let's make prequel, but let's make a prequel.
I guess
So I guess it
Yeah.
can.
I'd have to.
Then it just becomes a classic.
So Pacific Rim is definitely not a cult
It's
classic.
cult film.
It got a
Okay.
prequel.
Okay, well, it got a sequel that sucked. We don't talk about that one.
I never saw it.
You don't need to.
I thought it was a prequel this whole time. It's a sequel.
It's a sequel. They kill off the two main characters too.
Off screen probably.
The guy off screen, the girl, she gets about 3/4 of the movie through as she's just like a boss now. She's not a robot. She dies in a helicopter crash.
Well, that's lame.
Yeah. Yep.
I
Not
hate
even
when
cool.
main characters get killed off, but I especially hate when they get killed off screen.
I know. Or when they get brought back to life off screen. Somehow he
Yeah.
returned.
Somehow Palpatine returned.
That was. What are your thoughts on the new trilogy of
The
Star
sequel
Wars?
trilogy.
Yeah.
I think The Force Awakens was good, but it was retreaded territory. Last Jedi had good moments, but overall disappointment. Rise of Skywalker was kind of a letdown all around.
I agree. I think one like had potential. Like when I watched it, I was like, okay, it's the same, what we've seen, but let's see what they do. Like I was like excited. 2 was they kind of flipped the script on everything. I was like, okay.
There was like disappointing moments for. I really hate the bastardization of Luke Skywalker's character
I know.
a lot. I think even Luke had good moments though in that movie, but overall, everything he did just didn't really make sense to me.
Yeah.
And I was I was interested a little bit in like the whole Rey and Kylo dynamic, and I liked that she didn't really,
What they call it, the
dichotomy.
dichotomy. It was something. The dyad.
And I liked parts of that one, but then like Rise of Skywalker came out, and then their problem is they didn't have a clear direction. They had directors that wanted to do different things.
Yeah.
Out of all the post Disney Star Wars films, the best one has been Rogue One for sure. Rogue One was phenomenal.
What about Solo?
I really liked Solo.
Solo's good.
I thought it was really good, and I was upset that because of The Last Jedi, audiences were burnt out on Star Wars, and so I didn't see Rogue One or Solo, because I thought Solo was really good and it deserved more attention than it got.
I agree. I think oh shoot, where was I going with that? I had a thought and I lost it.
I think that
Yep, that
Solo
reminded me. With like with the Kylo thing. It never sold me once on like Anakin. I feel like even though those movies are a little like they're really political and very like they're kind of boring at sometimes. The original sequel or
The original trilogy.
the original trilogy. I feel like you can see more of the arc towards him becoming like evil.
You mean so the prequel trilogy?
The prequel trilogy with Anakin, yeah.
Okay.
Versus with Kylo, I felt it didn't make. He kept like being unsure, but then also being like super evil, but then being good. And I was like, okay, what? I don't get why he's like.
Kylo Ren didn't even strike me as like that evil. To
And he
be
had a
honest,
temper
he just
tantrum.
seemed like a kid that was
Yeah.
like throwing a fit. And I'd be like, I'm sorry, I don't buy it that like Luke. This is the same guy that never gave up on his father, Darth Vader, like the second most evil character.
Yeah.
Never
saw
gave
the
up
light
on
in
him,
him.
redeemed him. And then, he sees a little glimmer of the dark side in Ben for like 2 seconds and tries to fucking kill him. Like, what? He's like, I feared what he was going to become. And it's like, no, Luke wouldn't have done that, man. Like, you're ruining Luke's character. And I just, first off, Han Solo, like, his friends weren't even there when he died. Like, in that one,
Yeah.
so that was kind of weird. I just think all around, like, there was a lot of missed opportunity.
One and both times they make an emotional moment between Kylo and his parents when he kills them.
Yeah.
But then it's like I don't feel any emotion because I'm like this little asshole kid.
Like, everyone gave Hayden Christensen such a hard time for being, like, emo in the prequel trilogy.
I hate
I'm like,
sand.
dude, I'm like, he's not even close to as emo as Kylo Ren is. Like, I feel like that was a way worse depiction of the dark side was Kylo Ren than Anakin. What I liked about Anakin is, yes, I think the problem is a lot of his acting was stiff. So acting was stiff, and the script, George Lucas is very good at creating worlds, creating lore and ideas, but dialogue has never been his strong suit.
No.
And I think everyone knows that. And so, like, when it came to monologues and things like that, they didn't hit very well. And so I don't think, like, that aside, I think that Hayden Christensen's portrayal of Anakin turning into Darth Vader was about as good as you could do.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was good all around. I loved it took over the course of 3 movies for him to fully delve into the dark side. And I like how they were, all 3 movies, they were like sprinkling in things where like, I don't know if I should have done that. That was a little,
You did what, Anakin?
yeah. Oh, you killed all the Sand Raid. Okay, well, they probably deserved, you killed their families and children too?
Oh.
Okay. All right. So that they were actually running from you, and you killed them. Like, interesting. Well, we'll see what happens.
The
But,
younglings.
and maybe I'm looking at it with, like, I don't know, nostalgia goggles, because those were the movies that I was a kid when they came out. Like, Revenge of the Sith came out in like 2003.
Mm-hmm.
So like these were like the prime, years for like a young little kid to just really soak in all the Star Wars stuff, So yeah, that's how I feel about that.
And I felt like especially at the end, the justification. Like, I know Anakin, like we said, he does a lot of questionable stuff, but at the end, he has a believable reason to fight Obi-Wan. Of like, he's trying to save Padme. The Emperor's in his mind, and he believes that if the dark side will give him the ability to save Padme, because she's gonna die. And that, to me, it's like, yes, okay, I can see why he was driven to be bad. But then with Kylo, I did not find that at all. I didn't find any reason besides he loved his grandpa,
Just mad.
who became a good guy and redeemed himself.
Yeah, like, did you forget that Darth Vader? Like, he's a Force ghost now. Why did nobody talk to this guy? Why did
He
they
just stood there.
They're like, oh, Your line is not looking too good, Anakin. Like, and then they double back on the whole, like, Rey was just an anomaly. She doesn't. I kind of like the idea of like she doesn't have to be
Yeah, like
anybody.
she doesn't.
And like, oh nope, she's the granddaughter of
Palpatine.
Palpatine. Why? That makes
Make her a nobody, because then
Yeah.
it allows kids to feel like anybody could be
Yeah.
special. But no, it's only the Skywalkers and the Palpatines
yeah.
who are tough shit.
Apparently,
I am excited for the Mandalorian movie a little bit,
yeah.
quite a bit.
I like Star Wars. I still love Star Wars, not just like Star Wars. I love Star Wars. But there's a few problems. Not a few. There's been a lot of problems they've run into. But it's the same way I feel about Marvel. I think a lot of it has to do with oversaturation.
Yeah. Did you watch Ahsoka?
I did. I liked it.
Was it good?
I liked it.
I haven't watched
Yeah,
that
I
one
like
yet.
Ahsoka. I usually, for every series I like, one comes out that I don't like.
Mm.
It's like kind of ping pongs back and forth a little bit.
I do feel, yeah.
I really like the Obi-Wan story too. I think there are weak parts in it, but I think overall, it was really good.
I agree. The lightsaber effects?
Oh yeah, super. And then the final Darth Vader versus Obi-Wan fight is one of my favorite lightsaber fights.
Yeah.
In general. And that's something I think was missing from the sequel trilogy as well. Is like there was no good lightsaber fights.
No. The
None.
only kind of cool one is on the beach, or not on the beach, but when on their that rock outcropping and there's waves and it's Kylo and
Yeah,
Rey.
but the choreography, like they don't
It
look
sucked.
like masters. They look like kids
Yeah.
swinging sticks at each other. Like there was nothing about the way they actually fought that was like it was such a cool setting. And
Yeah.
I feel like if they'd like
Because the waves hitting the lightsaber, and
Yeah.
that
and they're
was
like,
cool.
well, we're bringing it back to how it was in the original trilogy, and it's like there are some things it's okay to leave behind.
Yeah.
Like graphics have improved since the original trilogy. Like
They made it that way because they couldn't make it any other way.
like fight choreography has improved since the original trilogy. Like there are just things that are better, and that's okay. Like how do we go from Anakin and Obi-Wan fighting in Mustafar, lava spewing everywhere, them jumping from platform to platform as it disintegrates, like one of the most, and then they're fighting in that hallway, destroying the technologies. Like one of the coolest lightsaber fights ever. To then in the sequel trilogy, them just wildly swinging at each other with no rhyme or reason.
Not to mention, you even have like in the prequel, you got fucking Yoda doing his backflips everywhere.
Yeah.
We don't get any of that.
the force fights between the Emperor Palpatine and Yoda when they're throwing those things at each other.
Yeah, the council room.
Yeah, there was like no epic force fights either. Like Rey had all this crazy force ability, like she lifts all of that rubble to get everyone out. But what did she actually do with the force when it came to fighting?
Nothing.
Yeah, I'm like, she was supposed to be like powerful in the force, and then she's still just swinging wildly with her lightsaber.
It would have been cool if we would have seen some like Star Wars Force Awakened shit.
Yeah,
Like pulling down a Star Destroyer.
I know that's like, and they rectified a lot of that with like the Obi-Wan series.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when that one ship is flying away and Darth Vader just catches it and pulls it back down.
That's so badass.
Like it was so cool. And then the lightsaber fight. So like they rectified a lot of that, but it was, I don't know. It was a weird direction. My thing is like the consensus with the fans was very clear what they wanted, and the studios were like, nah. Like
I
we know what we want.
Well, so what are your thoughts on Dave Filoni? Dave Filoni, for those that don't know, he's the guy that's in charge of he recently got put in charge. When I say recent, it was because of Mandalorian, basically.
Mandalorian
And Clone Wars. He
and
did Clone
Ahsoka
Wars.
actually. So like Dave Filoni, I think that his storytelling, his writing is probably the best post George Lucas that we have.
I agree.
I think that the Clone Wars is really, really good, and people need to give it a shot if they haven't. But also his work in the live action shows as well has been really good. So anything he's attached to, I generally feel pretty good about.
Same here.
Yeah.
Yeah. He I think he has a really good understanding of kind of what the fans want to see. Now, he fan services a little bit.
Yeah, for sure.
And like Ahsoka's his baby because he made Ahsoka, so
yeah.
she gets some pretty cool stuff. But I mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
I'm okay with that. But you look at like The Mandalorian, that's probably my favorite piece of Star Wars media that came out. That's like a full, like, I love the lore of Star Wars, but not always the movies, or like not always the stories are good, but not like amazing. To me, Mandalorian, the lore and the show were like peak, and I was like, ooh.
I haven't checked out the new one yet. It looked fun though. It looked like I might enjoy it with Jude Law, Skeleton Crew.
Yes, I watched some of it. It's pretty good. It reminds me of it's Star Wars Treasure Planet.
Yeah,
I'll tell you that. It is Star Wars Treasure Planet.
Treasure Planet's one of my favorite Disney movies. I love Treasure
It's so
Planet.
good. Which is also, Treasure Planet is Treasure Island.
Yeah.
But so it's Treasure Island. But
Star Wars Treasure Planet Island.
yes. And I watched a little bit. I didn't finish it yet because when I last watched the last episode, they were still releasing the episodes.
Gotcha.
I enjoyed it. I thought it was pretty good. It felt like Goonies-ish, it was pretty good. Especially for a kid's show. It wasn't horribly kiddie.
Okay. I do know that, so unfortunately, it pulled like no viewers. And a lot of that had to do with the Acolyte kind of bombing really hard.
Did you watch that one?
I did.
I never watched it. Was it?
It wasn't their strongest show, for sure. I don't know if it was, I don't know. It's one of those things where it felt like sometimes they try to make things simply for the sake of making it. What I mean by that is, I don't think that the lore was strong enough to support the show.
Oh, okay.
If that makes sense. And then there was a lot of like I don't know, like you would find that I've never been one that's really been that upset at like the whole woke culture thing.
Uh-huh.
They get attacked pretty heavily by like an anti-woke crowd. And there are some things that they're upset about that I get for sure. And a lot of that I think kind of interfered with the story itself.
Gotcha. I get what you mean when it's like it feels like sometimes TV shows are made for the sake, almost like they're using the Star Wars name to make a show that they wanted to make that wasn't Star Wars.
Yeah, and that's actually perfect.
Yeah.
To what I felt about it. To me, I never really felt like it was Star Wars. I felt like it was a sci-fi show that could have been in any setting, but like it didn't feel Star Wars. And that's some people's complaints with Andor.
Okay.
Where they're like, it doesn't feel like Star Wars, but Andor I forgive because the story itself is just that strong.
Well, and in Andor, I mean, then you get a little tough of like, what is Star Wars?
What is Star Wars?
But Andor is a story about, I haven't seen it.
Yeah.
I know it's the guy from Rogue One.
Yeah.
He doesn't have lightsabers, right? He's not a Jedi.
It's because, it's not a Star Wars story so much as it is a war story.
Yeah. And he's like, it's a different slice of Star Wars that we don't get to see often. Same with Mandalorian, man. I mean, now, like, he's starting, like...
Now he's his own,
Yeah, but the first season, it was the bounty hunter Star Wars show. Like, it was just about being a bounty hunter, and then he finds a cute little baby.
Yeah. Andor, it's like, here's the story all about how my life got
turned upside down.
Andor is basically, each planet has millions of life forms. They've been under the oppressive rule of this Nazi-like regime for so long. What is their story? What's the average Joe's rebellion story?
Who's not
like what
Jedi.
they do is not going to be written in the Star Wars history books, but it's still important nonetheless. That's what Andor is, and that's why it's sometimes people are like, it doesn't feel like Star Wars. I'm like, okay, well, to them, their planet just got blown up.
Yeah.
So it's not all fun and games. Slice and Dice Killer says Star Wars sucks.
Well,
What a contrarian,
I know.
He just likes to
So
fight.
unique.
Just like, wow, edgelord over here.
Star Wars sucks. Well, you know what? Guild Wars sucks.
Guild Wars is the worst game ever. Not only is it the worst game,
And
I don't think I'll ever play an
we can
MMO
put the
again.
KD ratio approved stamp on this. Like, as KD ratio podcast, we endorse that.
Okay.
Oh, dang.
First off, why did you dox yourself, Mr. Efren? Your whole name? What a noob.
We
Better
can
change your name there. Anybody? Such a loser.
Damn. We got a lot of Star Wars haters.
Yeah, I know. I don't care. I like Star Wars.
Me too. I mean, like, do you remember as a kid? Because this, to me, the prequel trilogy, I don't think I necessarily liked the movies as much as I liked the lore and what my childhood mind, the potential of the lore, like that I could make with toys, that I could pretend to, play imagination. Like that almost transcended the movies, in my opinion. What did you
100%.
Yeah. Like, and the lore with Star Wars is so cool, but I guess the crowd hates Star Wars.
I
So.
tell you. Well, Efren and Slice,
You guys are wrong.
you guys are wrong.
Yeah.
I love how we spent literally the last 20 minutes bashing on Star Wars, and then the moment we get people saying it sucks, we we get defensive of it. Like,
Just because we were praising
how
it a
dare
little
you?
bit.
How dare you?
Any last things on Star Wars you wanted to?
No,
talk
I'm
about?
ready to jump
Okay.
into the next thing.
I wanted to bring up. I just started watching this show called Severance. It's on Apple TV. It's
The guy from Parks and Rec,
It is Ben Wyatt.
Ben Wyatt.
I don't know what his name is. Ben Wyatt.
The brother of Will Ferrell's character in Step Brothers.
Yeah. Yes. Also him.
What is that guy's name?
Oh.
I'll look it up. Keep going.
Yeah. I'm going to have my 2 Star Wars tattoos removed now, Efren said.
I knew it. I knew he was incognito.
I think
As
you
a
should
hater.
I think you should get him covered up with what's better than Star Wars right now?
You know what every Star Wars fan wants to hear? You should get that covered up with a Star Trek
That's right.
tattoo.
Get the like what's the symbol? Is there a name for that symbol?
Starfleet,
The Starfleet symbol?
or is
I guess.
what's? Yeah, I mean that's the A.
Yeah,
or
the A?
thing, Yeah,
So get that, Efren. Cover up your tattoos.
I almost said Star Command because I've
And
been
then-
watching so much Toy Story lately.
Get the other one with like Picard's bald head. Cover up the other one with Picard.
So Severance.
Severance. Yes. Did you find his name?
I wasn't looking. To
Oh,
be
okay.
honest with you.
I thought you
but
were.
I will.
I was
look,
waiting.
Keep going. Adam Scott.
Adam Scott. There we go. So Adam Scott, Ben Stiller is like a creative director. I think he wrote some of it. Really good show. I'm really into it. I'm watching it with my dad and Apple TV. I don't want to spoil too much, so I'll just give like a little rundown of the story. But what it's about is there's this company called Lumens, and at that company, you can undergo this procedure called severance, where you sever your work from your home life. And so when you're at work, you don't remember anything about your personal life. You only remember work. And when you're at home, you don't remember anything about work. And so like it almost creates like 2 people, because the guy who's at work, when he leaves work, he just wakes up when he's back at work. Like he's at work 24/7.
That sounds like a hell on
It
earth.
sounds like hell, right?
Anybody?
They never get to leave, because when they leave,
So there's 2 personalities. One is
Essentially-
always home, and one is always at work,
yeah,
and they don't know each other.
and they don't know each other, and so
Who is this voluntary or are they?
voluntary.
It's voluntary.
It's
Who
voluntary.
would do that voluntarily?
Yeah, and so it's a really good show. It reminds me of like
It's a 50-50 chance of who's going to be the guy that is at work forever or who's going to be.
well, it's still you,
I know, but like,
but You could be the one stuck at work every waking moment of your life.
It's like at the end of Prestige. He's like, I didn't know if I was going to be the man in the box or the man that stood out to the crowd.
So it raises some really cool like moral dilemmas in that part specifically, but also the show's really good because the company itself, the way I can best describe it is that if anybody played like Portal, it feels like Portal of like this megacorp that is very like
Aperture.
Aperture. Yeah, it feels very mysterious. They worship this guy Egan and his family, and it's like been around since the 1800s. This company, and nobody really knows what they make, like what they do there, and really good show, really good. I'm into it. They're releasing the second season episodes right now, and I'm still on the first season, but the whole show is pretty much about that mystery of like what the company does, why do they sever the people, and then they don't once somebody's severed. Well, you know, I'm not gonna say more because I don't want to spoil it. I want to leave it for.
So you recommend it though?
I 100% recommend it, especially where I'm at now. I don't know. Again, I'm like 4 episodes in. It might get horrible, but I don't.
Magic things happen when comedy people make dramas.
Yes,
I always do.
and I will preface it. There's like zero comedy.
Yeah.
It's a drama. It's not scary, in my opinion. It's more of like a
Terrifying.
Yeah, it's like a psychological, like Twilight Zone. Like I don't know if Twilight Zone scares you. I guess this would, but
Okay.
otherwise, it's more of a thought-provoking like thriller. Like, you know, I'm more invested in the mystery, but there are some creepy things of like, you know, like the whole thing about the moral dilemma of one of you are working.
You are both, but one of you is going to be at work forever, and
Yes.
one of you is going to be at home forever.
And if like there's no way to communicate, you can't, like they set up in the show that
Do they know what's going on?
what do you mean?
Like after they volunteered for this,
Yeah.
they just know there's this other part of them that they'll never experience anymore.
Yep. And they can't communicate with each other. They set up that the company Lumens does not bless you. Bless you. The company Lumens does not, like, they have a written they have a thing to detect if you try to take a message out, if your work self tries to take a message out to your, they call it
Other self?
your innie and your outie. But yeah, so the company has like detects that and they stop you from doing that. So you would have no clue
Wow.
if the other you is like unhappy and like miserable.
So is that going to be the main focal point? Is like this guy's trying to end it or something, or
The main focal point is that, so the show starts with this guy Petey. We don't get to see him for a little bit, but this guy Petey, he was their manager before. It's like it's only 4 people working in this huge office. And then there's different departments, but they don't meet each other. It's spread out. It's weird. It's cool. But there's only 4 of them. Petey is no longer with the company. You don't learn why. Ben Wyatt, Adam Scott gets promoted to manager, and Petey was his best friend, his work self's best friend.
yeah,
And then when he, what happens is he runs into Petey in the real world, and Petey escaped and like is reintegrating. So yeah, the whole mystery is like, what's going on? Why do they do this? And also like, what does the company do? Because you ready for their work? All we know about what they do for work, they stare at a computer. There's all these numbers. And some of the numbers evoke emotions. And so you want to look for the scary numbers and sort them out.
it's what?
Yes. It's pretty cool.
That's
I like
almost
it.
like those weird indie games where you're like trying to identify skinwalkers.
Yeah.
You know what I'm
It's
talking
kind
about?
of.
Is that what they're called? Like, you know, like those like
Mm-hmm.
identify the. It's like analog horror.
Yeah.
I know
There's a
Markiplier
specific
played
name,
a lot
yeah.
of them. I forget the name. I don't know if they're called.
But so they have
skinwalkers,
that, a lot of analog horror, and then they have a lot of liminal spaces in this show too, of like
So did Ben Stiller just like binge a bunch of like indie horror?
I guess
Yeah.
I saw that he said he was inspired by Stanley Parable,
Yeah,
and
okay, I could see that.
and then yeah, I'd recommend it though. I really do. It's a really good show, really good sci-fi kind of, not necessarily I guess sci-fi. Twilight Zone sci-fi, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nice. I would say so. What is sci-fi really?
And then they do have a little bit of comedy in it, but it's like
Not like haha comedy.
no,
like,
it's just like weird. Like they had this in the show, this is like first second episode. He goes to a dinner party with his brother and with his sister and his brother-in-law, and it's a dinner party without food. Like that's the whole point of the party, is that they're having the dinner party with no food so that they can get to know each other better. And I'm like, that sounds horrible.
it's the worst. You're just hungry and upset.
Yeah, and then at the end they're like, I'm really glad that we did this party without food. It allowed us to connect on a more emotional. And it's like, what the fuck? No.
What?
Yeah. But yeah, I'd recommend
Man,
it. Watch it.
God.
Apple TV though. And
Apple TV. I don't
if
know
you
if
get-
I'm ready to commit to another streaming service.
well, you said you watched Ted Lasso, right? So did you have Apple TV at one point?
Yeah, but
Ah.
you only, do
Yeah.
things in intervals.
Right now I don't have Hulu. I canceled Hulu.
I can't because it's bundled with my Disney Plus and ESPN.
Is it really that much cheaper than if you just had? Do you use ESPN Plus?
Yeah, only to watch the fights, but
The fights.
I do.
Damn.
I don't know. I got Peacock. I haven't touched Discovery Plus in a while.
Honestly, I think. Do you have HBO?
Yeah.
I think you can get rid of Discovery. HBO stuff, like HBO has Discovery stuff. A lot of it.
Does it really?
A lot. They
There's
have
so much overlap.
Yeah, they have I mean these are shows I watch, but they have Gold Rush, they have Expedition Unknown, they have Ghost Adventures on HBO Max.
On HBO. It's actually just Max now. It's not HBO Max.
Oh, true. Just Max. Cuz that's
Max.
cooler.
Well, I'll have to check it out. It sounds very interesting.
I hope you guys do. I hope Billy does too. If I don't know if he's listening.
Nah, probably.
No, he said Star Wars sucks and then he peaced out.
He's probably still thinking we're talking about Star Wars stuff.
Probably he's like, I'm not going to listen to them.
So, Severance. It's on what season?
Second season's coming out right now. They're releasing episodes. Last night when I looked, there's like 3 episodes out, I think. Each episode's an hour.
Is it a weekly release or is it?
It seems like it because there's only 3 out now. So, and the reason I started watching is I saw, I think I've been seeing ads to or something about it online.
Interesting.
Suicide Squad. I have a small update on.
I thought you beat it.
I beat it. I beat it. Okay. The single player experience wasn't horrible. Like it wasn't the worst game I've ever played.
Yeah.
But it still wasn't good. It wasn't Arkham. But then
Oh god.
I'm lower. Like my score was like probably, I would say honestly like 6 or 7
Okay.
before. But then I tried to play online with my friend. The whole point of the fucking game,
Yeah.
that it's a live service online game. The online's garbage. For some reason, we first get in, my friend's audio cuts out. I'm like, okay. We have to get it restarted. But then we go to do a mission together and all of a sudden we start the mission and we're both bugged out to where we can't do damage. We're getting like flung weirdly to we'll fly across the map.
Banding.
Yeah. And then, but now you might be saying, well, maybe your internet wasn't good.
That was my first thought. You do live in the mountains.
I do. I can play Marvel Rivals
No
perfectly fine. No issues.
Well,
We went from playing Suicide Squad. After that, I was like, this is garbage. I deleted the game, so did my friend.
just
We
so
went-
mad that he deleted it.
Yeah, I was like, fuck this.
Get
and then
this off my hard drive.
and then we went to Marvel Rivals, was able to do like 4 games. No no issues, no rubber
Easy,
banding,
easy.
nothing. And I was like, for a game, that blew my mind when I booted it up and it wasn't working
Yeah.
for an online game.
That's the whole purpose.
Yeah.
So, I don't think we're treading on any new territory talking about that.
No. Shit
but-
talking them. Bless you. Jeez.
It's because I'm sitting where Billy sits. I'm allergic to his stank.
His baldness.
His baldness, I'm allergic to. He's not here to defend himself.
So we can shit on him all we want.
Yeah. What a terrible person he is.
Yeah, horrible friend. Horrible person.
How dare he let us into his house when he's not even home to record this? What a bad person.
And he didn't even, he left
He left.
images up that we can't talk about.
I won't even bring that up. I'm disgusted. that
By the
you
images
even-
he left?
The images he left on this computer.
It's
for
of a
us to see.
disturbed mind.
Only a depraved animal would do that to their friends.
True.
And that's him, though.
A depraved
A
animal.
depraved animal. All right. Well, that was quite the range of topics.
Yeah, we went
We're all over the place there.
Exodus to Star Wars.
Star Wars to Matthew McConaughey's Crazy Life to some other stuff. Where were we? Severance. Spent a lot of time on. I think Star Wars was the main one there, but just like that, I think that is about all she wrote. So Dylan, where can people find us?
They can find us right here on YouTube, where we live stream every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Come join us. Leave a comment. Oh, stay on. We are here.
Ugh, we got to stay on.
Well,
we're just
never
about to
mind.
wrap it up.
You can't find us every Tuesday.
We gave some blue balls.
I'm taking it all back. I'll bring up To Kill Time. Kyle, have you heard of Blood of the Dawnwalker?
No. I mean, yes, I have. But
Okay.
I haven't looked into it, is what I'm saying.
At all?
Nope, not at all.
Oh, so you don't know anything?
I don't know anything other
Okay.
than I saw the thumbnail for a trailer.
So it is one of the directors from Witcher 3. One of the game directors went out, created his own studio.
Oh, didn't Billy say this? I
did
think
he?
he posted this on Discord.
I think.
That's where I heard it, I think.
It looks pretty cool. A lot of people, from what I was seeing, they were saying it was the director that, like, he did your favorite DLC, Blood and Wine.
Yeah.
That's why it's about
we
vampires.
definitely talked about this on Discord, I remember, because I was like, well, he was only one of 3 directors, and Billy
Yeah.
was like, what the fuck? Like,
That's
what?
right.
He's like, there's a lot of
That's
chefs
right,
in that
yeah.
kitchen. Yeah.
Yeah, so I watched a little bit on it, and everything I saw looked pretty exciting. So you're gonna be you're a dawn walker with like Blade, basically. You can a vampire who can walk during the day. The only part that had me hesitant, and I don't like this in any of my games, is that it has like a time limit. Like you have like 30 days
Like Majora's Mask.
to save the world. Yeah. And he said, whoever they were interviewing said that time doesn't proceed until you complete a mission. But people are worried about, does that mean side missions too? Because he said there's going to be like side missions. I hope it's main missions. Like kind of Cyberpunk does the same thing where time really only progresses when you do a main
stories,
mission. Yeah.
There's a meme about it, how B's like, oh, not good. And then fucking like proceeds to do every side quest in the game for weeks and weeks on end.
Well.
I guess we're finally getting kicked out of here. He didn't know we were in this house.
Oh, this is a great chair.
This is, yeah.
Right?
Damn good chair.
I was gonna sit there before we started, and then Dylan said no.
You're allergic to my baldness?
Oh,
Immediately deflecting here, huh?
I did say it.
First
It was
off,
me.
he said it. Second off, yes, I am. All right. I'm tired
Trying
of
to beat around the
pretending.
bush.
I'm tired of pretending like I'm not.
I feel like I don't have anything to look at now. I don't have to pay attention to 6 things.
Yeah.
My ADD's on overdrive. I've been having to ignore this the whole time.
You're like, stop.
How you doing,
Allergic
Billy?
to my baldness. Wow.
Did you hear all our insults?
I listened to the last 40 minutes driving from the south end of town.
Oh, good.
Star Wars riffs.
You needed to hear this. Is important for you.
Severance sounds interesting.
It's
I like that
really good.
concept.
Really good. I'd recommend. Do you have Apple TV?
I did. We bought it for Foundation, and then I canceled it once we were all caught
should
up.
get it
I
again.
haven't-
How would that work? I mean, you work from home, So like you would permanently exist at home. Because
Oh, that would be
Yeah,
weird
you
for
couldn't-
remote work, huh?
yeah.
You would.
I would be stuck in the office, like I couldn't use the bathroom.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
so how it works in the show is they take an elevator down.
You turn into the other version of yourself the second you step out of that room.
Yeah.
So there's one version of you that never leaves.
Yeah.
That would be actually hell on earth.
And then they pick bad numbers.
Yeah, so they look at this screen, and this is like another part of the mystery. They look at the screen, and it's all these numbers like Matrix looking, right? And they hover over them, and they have like, there's a new employee that's kind of like the fish, like you get to, that's how they introduce us to it. And at first she's like, what do we do? Like, this is just nonsense numbers. I don't get it. And they're like, well, just keep looking at it. Eventually you'll get it. And they're like, that's the best way we can describe it. You'll see numbers that scare you. And she doesn't understand.
do you go to college to get a degree to work
No,
in this
I
field?
think-
or-
It's highly competitive.
So what I think, these are my theories.
They
No.
try to find the lowest scare tolerance people so that they're scared by more numbers.
No, so the severance thing, it's a thing in their brain that does it, right? That severs them. But I think that what they're looking at isn't numbers. That's what they see,
what
but
they think
their
they're seeing?
their brain is like actually seeing something else, but it's encoded. And so they're sorting through something that is worse. I don't know.
Mm.
And so it's like
Interesting.
their subconscious sees that it's really bad.
Is it like one of those things that's like an image, but then when you scroll in, each pixel's like a picture of something else? Something like that.
Yeah. So
Oh.
it's really interesting. But yeah, they take an elevator down, and that's when they become the other self. So it'd be like Billy, you just, as soon as you walk out the door, you'd be Billy who's always at home.
Yeah.
That would,
Wait. How's that any different
they
from my
w-
current life?
do they willingly like do this? Did I ask?
Yeah,
that
he said
already?
it's up to them.
It's a voluntary
That's
procedure that they sign up to do.
Is it permanent?
Uh,
Like, do they know it's permanent, or are they tricked into thinking it's a temporary thing? Or
as far as we know now, they're tricked into thinking that it's temporary,
Even
or
if
that
it's-
they could leave.
Even if it was 99 out of 100 times where you would be home, I still wouldn't risk it for that one time,
yeah,
because then being trapped at work, that's no life.
And
Essentially,
like
you
you would
create-
just wake up back at work, like you
Yeah.
you cease to
There's
exist, and then
no-
you're like,
you just
time to work again.
Especially
essentially
that
create
work.
two versions of yourself,
Yeah.
and so you would know before the procedure happened there will be a version of you that will forever exist at work, and before the procedure happens, you don't know which version you yourself
Yeah.
is going to move into.
Especially that line of work. Like if I was a porn star with just a hammer of a cock, sure.
Why
maybe I can handle being stuck at work all day. Okay, I suffer through that. But this?
Even that would get old quick.
Yeah. I know it would.
It's
right?
wild because they touch, like they're starting to touch more on it with the new girl of like, she's like, how do you do it? Like, how do you every day? Like we just work, and he's like, well, you try to focus on like she's like, we never get to sleep, and he's like, yeah, well, you try and focus on the benefits that we get from sleep, like that our Audi gets. So it's like you'll feel more rested, you'll feel happier.
Oh, there's still a connection between.
No, but like
The two.
it's still the physical body. So when somebody sleeps, then they go to work. They'll be conscious and they'll feel better.
So the same body, two consciousnesses.
Essentially, yeah,
Conchai.
conchai.
Perfect.
Did you guys talk about the content that I had pulled up for you guys already?
No,
We touched on it a
you
little
did.
bit. Yeah.
Yeah.
Did you touch yourself a little bit
A
about
little
it?
bit.
Good.
don't turn on a black light.
You don't want to know what we
I had to
did.
roll the window. I rolled the window blinds up. Like I didn't want any of that.
Can you imagine neighbor comes over?
What is that? Just the brightest screen. Like what's going on?
Huh.
Did you guys talk about DeepSeek at all?
No.
You guys familiar with the announcement that came out yesterday?
No.
So it's the new Chinese AI model that came out. That
We had such a deep conversation on AI before we started, and then we didn't talk about it once when we started.
We should have.
Anyways.
We didn't even talk about the Odyssey.
Did you hear about this though? So it kind of popped off. Nvidia stock dropped like $600 billion.
Saw that.
Largest
stock drop.
single day stock
ever.
drop of ever.
Yeah.
Which is organic because we've never had $3 trillion companies before, and now we do. So it's like relative, it's not the largest ever, but on an absolute value, it's the largest number drop.
Right.
I mean, we're talking like entire GDPs of countries. That value was just wiped off. It went back up like 10% today or something like that. But anyway, that's not the point. The point is this model is very interesting. And I just want to touch on it for a second.
Yeah.
It's an app that you can download on your phone. Apparently, it runs locally, which is actually mind blowing. Like it just runs on your phone. So I think there's a component that it does run online, maybe for certain types of questions or whatever. But you can use it without having any internet connection. That is I don't even understand how that works, but apparently it does that. And also, the big thing why NVIDIA was sort of shattered was their thing was it doesn't need all these like AI chips, these specific purpose-built chips. It doesn't need those. So it's way less intense. Like it could just use regular hardware, and it like low-end hardware. It runs on like smartphones. I mean, that's not like a big PC or anything. And then also to train their model, and again, this is all from a Chinese corporation, so take all these numbers with a grain of salt. But there seems to be a lot of trust and validity in how they got to this. They built their model and trained their model for only $5.6 million, which is, when you compare that to what NVIDIA and Meta, these companies were talking about, like how expensive these models are to train, it's totally flipped that on its head. So I don't know how much, if it's better than ChatGPT, I don't know what, but take all that with a grain of salt. Fine.
It should be like a Gen 1 like Siri.
Yeah.
So I played with it on my phone. It seems like it works just as well as the other ones. I haven't seen any glaring differences. Like I've asked it some decent questions. It hasn't been like, well, that's terrible. So it seems like it performs quite well.
Interesting.
And then, but the fact that it can run locally, I didn't play around with that. I didn't test that out.
That's crazy.
That is
called DeepSeek?
bonkers to me. DeepSeek, yeah, I believe that's the name of it.
I'll have to play with it after this a little bit.
Yeah.
Do some comparisons.
There's no subscription tiers, no nothing. You can have it generate images, and there's no they won't time you out or anything. So apparently you could just max out and use this. So it's kind of cool that this Stargate stuff is coming out right now, because this AI race is going to be heating up, and I'm glad that we're kind of like investing. Like, what is it? It's like $1 trillion, or it's like 600 billion. It's like some ungodly amount of money that we're putting into AI, because we need, like, the race is on, boys. Like the fact that it can run locally on your smartphone.
We're gonna see things just get exponentially better.
We were at dinner. We were talking about the AI, but it blew my mind. It made a PowerPoint. ChatGPT made a PowerPoint file about Mass Effect and the benefits it has had.
So, all right. So
I could take this, I could download this file and open it up in PowerPoint.
For you, but the prompt I gave it was, first I asked it because I didn't know. I was like, can you generate PowerPoints? And it said, yes, I could generate PowerPoint presentations. Let me know topic, number of slides, key points, any design preferences you have, and I'll create one for you. And then I said, can you create a PowerPoint of Mass Effect detailing why it had such a profound impact on the gaming world? Make it as long as you consider it needs to be. And then it took a couple of minutes. Oh, the file expired, but I did download it.
Oh, you didn't download, but you don't know how many slides or anything?
Yeah, so it was like 15 slides. And it like had all these like really good.
It talked about Tally, Garrus, like the squad mates.
The importance of squad mates, romance, quest design.
Is it crazy that I'm not shocked?
Yeah.
You just expect that to happen. I mean, I did this the other day. You just know it's going to work at this point. That's where we're at. You can ask that question and you're going to get a damn good response.
So this is another one that blew Dylan's mind. I was like, I need a PDF of anyone. I just happened to have a PDF for the finance program at a university here.
Oh, okay.
Like 5 years ago, I looked at it and I was like, maybe thinking about it. And so I had that. So I uploaded the PDF and I just said, explain to me what this PDF is about and give me a short summary on the guidelines it is asking of me. It wrote this whole thing. And I'm scrolling here for the audience that can't see this. There's like
How long, for reference, how long is the original PDF? Like many pages?
Oh, it was like 30 pages.
So it took that and broke it down into like a 1-pager.
Yeah, and it wrote this. The key guidelines and expectations. There's like 1, competency-based learning model. 2, degree plan and course structure. 3, faculty support and mentorship. 4, continuous enrollment and progress tracking.
Make me a summary of the summary.
And it's literally like, and then under each one of those things that I said, it has like a
Full breakdown.
full breakdown of what that is. It did this all like 2 seconds,
Yeah.
maybe.
This is
And then
this
you
is
ask
the world
for
we live
pros
in.
and
2 seconds.
This is one of the bread and butter features of ChatGPT.
And then I said, what are the pros and cons of this program? Pros. It gives you 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pros, 6, 7, 8 pros. Cons. 1, requires strong self-discipline and time management. 2, limited face-to-face interaction for cons. 3, not ideal for those who need hands-on learning. 4, transfer credit limitations.
Get you like 90% of
Yeah.
the way there.
And I'm like, this is more beneficial. Who would benefit the most? Best for self-motivated learners, working professional, those with prior finance experience. Not ideal for students who need structure. Like, this is more beneficial than any like guidance counselor could
That's
ever.
your sales pitch. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Like, here's our full fact sheet
Yeah.
of like everything you could ever need to know. And here's a summary of that. And it just spit it out for you in 30 seconds. If you hired an analyst to do that, it'd take them a month to come up with something,
Yeah.
you know, that like
They'd
a
have to
sales
go
piece.
through it and be like, oh,
Well, just the other day, I've been trying to incorporate like some light exercise, get back into the gym at the beginning of the year. You know, just set some personal goals. And also, I really want to get into golf this year. I have a goal to.
Oh,
shoot-
just this year you're finally getting into golf.
Well, I'm setting strict goals. Like before, I would just play golf.
now you're taking it serious.
I'm setting goals. Like I want to shoot in the 80s twice.
You want actual measured improvement.
Yes, exactly. I don't want to. Who wants to just have fun? You know,
This
let's
guy-
go out there.
This guy's trying to min-max.
golf, all right. And so I'm like, okay, I want to shoot in the 80s twice this year. And so I'm like, I want to incorporate like flexibility and yoga type things into my, so I can, you know, be able to take the golf club back further and stuff.
be
like
able
that.
to
take the golf club deeper. We need to go deeper with golf. So I put together this awesome, basically summary and prompt of where I'm at with my current health, where I want to get to, how I want to start, how I want to, like the types of workouts that I want. I listed all of my workout equipment in my home gym, which I actually have a pretty robust home gym, and I included all the different, you know, like things that I have.
Yeah.
And I said, build me based on my goals. I said, build me an exercise program, and based where I'm at. And it built me a full program.
Yeah.
And I asked it to put it in a spreadsheet, and I opened the spreadsheet. And I didn't really like the layout. That I wanted to swap the X and Y axis. Basically, I wanted my days across the X axis and my exercises down the Y axis. I asked it to do that. It was like 1 second. Did a data transform, flipped that for me. And then I hit some ChatGPT limits of that. And then it basically listed out like all the workouts that I should be doing. But it was just by name. And I said, okay, go further on those. Like I want to know how many reps based on what I gave, because I gave my height, my weight, everything.
Yeah.
I said, based on that, give me, like actual, like 3 sets of 10 and stuff like that. So it went and broke down each thing that I should be doing, and it customized it based on the equipment that I had. So it was like, oh, use your balance ball for this, use your medicine ball and do these exercises. And I printed it out and it's hanging in my garage now. And it's like, it was just this, it took 5 minutes, and people spend literally thousands of dollars to work with fitness
Personal
professionals.
trainers and
It did everything I wanted. It did flexibility training and yoga and stuff like that. They have down days. And I also said, like, you know, I'm kind of a beginner when it comes to working out. Like I haven't, you know, been very rigid and routined in my gym. So I want to start slow. And so the workouts are very mild. And then it gave like a ramp up pattern. It was like, you know, like these are for beginners, and if you want to take it to the next level, you can increase sets. Gave you like all these options, like you can increase sets, or we can develop new exercises to, you know, get you to the next level. And it's just like, it's there. It's just there. I mean, we're talking 30 seconds and it's generating this. Like literally people would pay thousands of dollars for this.
Just since we started this podcast, think back of just how much of a meme AI was when we first started this podcast.
the Dolly
was
the
Bigsby.
first time we brought up like Well,
First time we ever brought up AI in the podcast, I think it was like
was it Dolly?
Gen 1 Dolly, where we were like generating
Looking
a
at
picture
the
of this.
weird little kids.
And it was such a weird, like we thought, wow, that's interesting. They actually kind of know what we're asking.
Well, what I always think of that era is that Will Smith eating spaghetti. We've all seen
Yeah.
that meme, right? Where his face is transforming and stuff. And then within 18 months or like 2 years, it's basically we have AI video where you could convince probably 40% of the world population that it's real.
I think
Yeah.
even higher.
Dude, I'm seeing AI shit now, especially around like some sexy ladies. It's mind blowing.
There's AI stuff happening now online that even I have to stop and think about for a second before I'm like, no, this isn't,
Mhm.
you know. And I would have been like, even a year ago, I would have said confidently, there's no way AI could trick me.
Yeah.
And I'm getting tricked. There's a bunch
Yeah.
of times where I get tricked visually. This is the interesting thing. I'll be curious about your guys' perspective. I get tricked visually easier than I do on the audio. Like when I hear AIs try to spoof like Trump or Joe Rogan or something like that, I can hear it.
Yeah.
And I know because I've just listened to enough of that content, I guess, that I know their cadence, and AI hasn't really hit that. But visually, dude, I can get tricked.
And
more
there's
times
things
than I
now
care
where
for.
I'm like, if something like, for one, if the color scheme's very vivid, or like, you know, it's
So they look clean. Sometimes.
they look, sometimes things look clean. Where even if it's not AI, I'll be like, this must be AI. And then like it's not. But like it's because I'm telling myself I don't trust anything anymore. I'm like,
I don't. To touch on your point, Billy, I honestly haven't listened to too much AI audio to know which one I'm better at detecting. That was my.
They
input,
spoof
you asked.
because they spoof.
I was like, it sounded like you were gonna go somewhere.
They
I was
spoof Elon Musk all the time, and I've listened to him on enough podcasts where because there's a 24/7 live stream of Elon Musk coming out with a new cryptocurrency. It's on YouTube. It goes on there, and there's always like 5,000 people watching it, and you can put it on there, and visually it's. I don't even think visually. I don't even think they're doing anything AI visually. It's just like a recording from like a whatever. But audio, his cadence is not there. Like the way he would say things, like the pauses. There's a rhythm to how people talk, and I can nail those. It's pretty fucking good. But I have to have a knowledge set on that person. If you were to go and do someone that I haven't really heard someone talk for 5-10 hours, I don't know if I could pick it out. You know, there's no cues, but there's just natural cadences and in the way people talk that you're like, this doesn't feel like that's how they would say that. And,
But I mean, just look at the difference between this Will Smith.
oh yeah,
Now imagine in the future, 18 more months in the future.
oh yeah,
Uh,
100%. It's gonna get to the point where. At what point? I mean, we're already seeing it with like GPUs where we're rendering fake frames. At what point do we just play fake games?
That's yes, yes.
Like, it's like, oh, here's a sandbox. You can do whatever you want, and it's just live creating a game that
For you.
no one's ever played before.
That's
I could see that as a future, but I don't think anyone actually wants that
no.
because people want to be given a story
Well, and
to
it's
play with.
and especially like catered creativity, right? Like art, like so AI. Yes, AI can make images, it can do stuff, but it can't create its own art style. And
Yeah.
a lot of times, at least now, AI now, you can tell because the art style is very samey, and it's very like you can tell when something's uniquely human, like a drawing versus an
Yeah.
AI drawing, because the AI drawings like it'll look like Pixar, it looks like Disney, or it looks like inspiration versus something human.
Well-
there's enough difference. I feel like
There's an Asmongold who I watch occasionally. He has a perfect take on this. He always talks about it's like the hot chick effect. That's why I was kind of memeing earlier. That's like because there's so much content on the internet of people drawing like really attractive women or attractive women posting, and then the models train on that. Like the best AI art is with like the prettiest girls. Like
Yeah.
when you try to generate that. If you try to generate people of Walmart, the AI ain't there yet because there's just not a lot of content to train it on onto that. You know what I mean? So it's like there's that sameness, right? Where it's like it all sort of starts to drive towards itself,
Yeah.
right? And gets thinner and thinner.
And so I'm hoping with like you're saying with the video game that while yes, that's a possibility, I think people like that uniqueness. And that's what they look for in video games. Because, I mean, we even see it now with Unreal Engine 5. I don't complain about it, but I do see people complaining about, oh, all the games kind of feel samey. Like with Unreal Engine 5. And I'm like, I can't fucking tell, but okay. So we're even seeing it on that level. And to me, that level is not as big as AI.
It'll be interesting. I think, but at the end of the day, too, you just train it on different data. If your art style, you want it to be different, give it a subset of data that is different.
Yeah.
You know, and then just that's what it knows and that's what it creates.
Could you imagine you are able to take like a TV show, right? And you're like, I want AI, I want a video game based on this, you know, in your fat human chair, floating Wall-E chair. And then it pops it out and it looks just like the TV show. And they make a story that's similar to the TV show.
I think that's only cool in concept.
Yeah.
Humans crave shared experiences. I truly wholly believe that. Like, why do we love Marvel so much? Because we can share in it together.
Yeah.
Right. And if I just played like the greatest game ever and could never replicate it and give it to you guys, there's something that gets lost there. It's why so many people love playing, myself included, love playing online games because you have that shared experience. I think, I don't know about you guys personally, but for me, like even achieving personal goals doesn't feel quite as great as when it's like a team goal that gets achieved. Like I love celebrating with a team and accomplishing something together versus just
like
as an individual.
working out with my friends versus working out alone at the gym.
Great example.
It's better working out with friends.
100%.
You might not get as
Then
much.
they know how
time.
much
Yeah.
you put into it, and you know how much, and you share that.
And sometimes
share
you
that
push
pain.
harder.
Yeah, you share that pain. Yeah, exactly. So I think that's something just innately human.
But then
it's
what
cool
if-
to talk about, but I don't think it would ever pop off.
Then you can post that game.
Port that out as a
and
as
then
a game.
and then people can upvote it. They can.
I'm sure that could. It's just like Mario Maker, right?
Yeah.
Everybody can. Here's your sandbox. Create what you want, and then the favorite levels kind of pop off, and you've got your creators that control.
Yeah, that are
Us.
the good ones.
Yeah.
Then that's how we get to Ready Player One.
Maybe.
It's so funny, Kyle. You bring that up like where we were just a few years ago. I know we talk about it all the time, but I cannot. In 2017, even in 2021, it was like Siri was the best.
And Siri was horrible.
Yeah. Okay, Google.
Siri is
Bixby.
not
It
AI.
was just
Like-
that was how we saw and interacted
Gen
with
1
AI.
Siri, like when that came out, it blew everyone's mind. But that, like, if you really think about it, there's nothing AI about it.
No.
Like, I mean,
It was a voice assistant.
it's a voice assistant that, like, basically you just talk to a search engine.
Give it explicit commands and it would do explicit things.
Yeah. And, like, so the only thing about it is, yes, it had, like, a voice, But, like, when you compare that, which Siri is now, like, over 10 years old now, right? I mean, I can't remember exactly when it came out, but
Yeah.
when you compare that to where we're at now, it's just not even comparable. It's like
Well,
the
I just
level.
can't wait for. I want these assistants, and I know like Microsoft's doing their whole Copilot thing. I want these language models to be as great to where I can have that conversation, build this out, not even touch a keyboard. Like, oh, I want to see this. I want to see this.
Yeah.
Here's my data set. Here's my SQL database. Go tap into that. Here's the report that I want you to create. Boom. Half my job is generating reporting for people because they want to see. They crave to see data in the way that they want. And so whether that's altering a data model to get it to fit that way, whatever. If we just had a database where it was very crude and we could just talk to an AI assistant that says, okay, we can combine these primary keys together to get you the data that you need. Oh my God, man. Like, you're talking about so many people just having access to information so quickly that they can use natural language to achieve those things. It's crazy how it has absolutely been. This is like the next wave of the like Moore's law, but I don't feel like it. Moore's law was always performance doubles every 18 months, right? That was like the historical cadence or historical logarithmic or exponential growth. This is like
way quicker, yeah.
I don't even
We need to do
know how
law.
to
We
describe
need to
it.
do,
Yeah.
need to.
It's like every generation. And then we get our hands on ChatGPT 4 and they're already done almost building ChatGPT 5.
Yeah.
And it's like we're still getting our minds blown on PowerPoint generation.
Honestly.
You know?
And yeah,
And okay, maybe it's not as great of a job as you could do in a month. But damn, man, it starts you off.
yeah.
I know somebody who just recently wrote a book, and they were able to avoid the whole writer's block issue because they could say, "Hey, I want to talk about this, and here's all this information on it. Write me, something," and they could use that not as they just copy and paste, no,
Yeah.
but they can use that
Inspiration.
to get them rolling, and go, "Ooh, I like how that sounds. Let me tweak it in my way."
I had
It's just such a tool.
what I'm trying to do right now. I want to see what happens. Is I can't figure out where I downloaded it, but like there's a core rule book for the tabletop Witcher RPG. It's very long. There's a lot that it goes into it. It's a very complex game. I want to upload that PDF to it and say, give me a
3-sentence summary.
give me a version for dummies. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be able to play this game only after reading like a few pages, and I would love to see what it says. But
Wow.
I'm trying to find. That's what I've been trying to do.
Trying to do.
Yeah.
My mind is still blown from the last conversation when we talked about AI, Billy, when you were telling us about NVIDIA and the virtual world where they can train.
Yeah.
I was talking.
What a concept.
Yeah, I was trying to I was talking with my parents and I was trying to give them an update on AI to make sure they're in the know. And my dad's like, well, yeah, I don't think they'll ever replace like physical jobs. I was like, I don't know. I was like, you got this virtual world now where they can do a billion simulations of every scenario possible in an instant. Or bye-bye,
Yeah.
human failure.
They're already doing like home building. They can 3D print homes. Have you seen that like concrete where they layer the concrete up?
I think, yeah.
When at my last company, I was an investment firm. We invested in a company that built 3D printed homes in California. Once they got all the approvals and everything done, they were averaging like 3 homes a day.
Oh my God.
They were just shitting these things out. Now there's still we're still at the point where it's not like it just goes onto a hill and starts printing homes.
Yeah.
You have to get everything a foundation poured and stuff like that and things in place. But you can find solutions for those things too.
Yeah.
And I don't think that the way that it's done now, they're very, you have to have you have to enjoy what they look like because they kind of look silly, and they're concrete homes, which actually California right now would love to have some concrete homes because it's very fireproof. But if you could get past those things and just think of instead of 3D printing the home itself, what if it 3D printed or just put in forms to where then you could easily slot in things like almost like Legos to then build, right? So it just did all the prep work for you. And the case that you were describing with how AI can train in the virtual world, right? Where it's just basically a bunch of cameras and sensors tracking and seeing how humans do it. And then it learns, creates a digital world where then you can train a robot given those inputs. Hey, this is what happened over the course of 2 years in a warehouse.
Yeah.
That was the example that they gave. Now you got a virtual data set. Now you can train a robot and see how it's doing and what it needs to do to learn to be able to perform. And then all of a sudden, day one, you can implement a robot in your warehouse and it's going to function and work because you've trained it on actual your world
scenarios.
Your use case. It's on your data, right? It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. And it's just like, what's interesting, the logistics industry is so, like 3PL, third-party logistics, that is such a common business type. I mean, they're like some of the largest corporations do this stuff. And
Bless you.
it's gotten down to like almost a science on how this works. And like Amazon has pioneered a lot of this stuff. Like warehouse technology is so core to what we do.
Yeah.
And, if you can train it on this, like the amount of jobs and back saving shit that it can do, and I don't know, man.
All right.
It's crazy.
So
I found a PDF version. I'm gonna try.
You did?
it. Yeah. Keep talking.
Okay.
I'm just
Good
letting you
luck.
know where I'm at.
what so what in your opinion, Billy, because I have mine, what do you think would happen? So say AI, keeps advancing at the rate it does, and it gets to the point where almost every job it's able to replace essentially or change. What do you think? What would be, because humans need a purpose. Well, most humans. What, would we just adapt to do different jobs?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
How many jobs has the personal computer replaced or consolidated? Like,
Look,
there,
bookkeeper.
there literally used to be a guy that would push a cart around delivering printed reports from the printing room.
Yeah.
Every day. And you would have an assistant on every desk. And you imagine going to work and not having a computer, just having a desk and notes.
Yeah.
And then you get the ability to save. Just just think of that. You could mark things up, think of Excel, or just being able to store things in cells and save that, print it on a whim's notice. It's replaced thousands of jobs. The productivity of one person today probably equaled the productivity of 200-300 people 30-40 years ago.
Yeah.
Just in an office setting, maybe not in a manufacturing setting, but then we can get a nuance that way, in terms of how many the efficacy and efficiency of machines, how well that those things run. We could produce 1,000 per minute now versus 20. I'm just using loose numbers, whatever. So everything is sort of scaled up. And that's always the fear, jobs will get lost. And maybe the acceleration of this will be too great to where it will have a pretty severe impact. Maybe. And maybe we have to be cautious of that. Sure. But, the personal computer came along, and that's led to some of the most productivity gains of all time. And it's been boom since then.
Yeah.
We used to let me just explain this to you guys. We used to have business cycle recessions because businesses, large companies, were so bad at managing inventory that they would order too much shit, forecasts would go down, they couldn't store it and sell it, they'd have to sell things at a loss, and we would have economic recessions because of this inefficiency. You don't have that anymore. The recessions now are caused by bubbles. 2000 was the tech bubble. Popped, boom, recession, slight recession, very quick recession. 2008 financial crisis, financial bubble. Pops, big recession. COVID, technically it was a recession, but man, I don't know. Everything exploded afterwards. So I don't know how much I felt a recession during COVID. Everything just got so expensive.
Yeah.
And it got expensive because of purchasing power by people. But regardless, so the computers have just really unlocked that ability. AI, I think, is just going to come in and make things even more stable in the sense of making good decisions.
Yeah.
And making timely decisions. And what we've seen, if you would have explained what a content creator on YouTube was in 1975, people would be like, wait a minute, 18-year-old kids that just, play video games all day, they're playing Pong and people want to watch them play Pong.
Honestly,
you wouldn't even be able to explain that to somebody.
You could say exactly what you just said and change it to 1995, and it would still
apply.
Still apply.
And so,
I would say even the year 2000,
yeah,
as YouTube is just starting, that might still apply.
And now there's millions of people that are making a living from platforms like YouTube and content creation. Between the performers, the editors, the PR teams, all that shit. There's a whole business around that. It's probably in the tens, if not hundreds of billions of dollars in terms of influencer market. That didn't even exist, and people didn't even know that would even be a thing 30 years ago. So whatever that next step is, it'll just allow us it'll just transform. I really do believe that.
The way I tell people is I usually just say that as humans, we've always adapted to stuff like that. You look at I use a lot of examples like you do of look at seatbelts. People fucking hated them when they came out. Now everybody wears a seatbelt. Look at your phone,
Tell it to my dad.
computers.
Your dad still doesn't wear a seatbelt. What a savage! Holy
Damn.
shit, Dad! If you're listening, you better be wearing a seatbelt.
He it's not like he's choosing to not do it.
He just forgets.
Yeah, he just doesn't. And then we'll be like, Dad, seatbelt. He's like, oh, yeah,
That's
right.
definitely an old man thing. In my lifetime, they made that a law.
Yeah.
Isn't that crazy?
I remember being a kid, and it was like
It was first.
it wasn't.
I remember it was first in California because everyone joked it was like, oh, the governor came in and like, made
Have
it
you
a
guys
thing,
seen the
but
videos of the people being interviewed, like the adults?
50-50. Cole says 50-50 on seatbelts. Sometimes it's fun to live life on the edge.
That's right.
My man. My man.
See, but now in cars these days, they beep at you unless you either you
And then it gets loud.
unprogram
That's the
it.
thing. They had no seatbelts in steel death traps. People died in getting in a car accident at 5 miles an hour. Because it was like there was nothing. You were the thing that got compressed, not the
Yeah.
car. You know, and like
Yeah, you just went.
The car was.
cars didn't even sell.
They were
it was like
built
a
to
feature.
last. They didn't even bend. And then the person just became like pudding inside of it.
And you hear people today like that just don't understand it. Like, man, I could hit a pole and that thing would you just be a little scratch that you wipe off, and it's like. Do you realize why your car folds in on it
Crumples?
to absorb that energy? So you aren't.
It's
That's a good thing. That's
all
a
that
feature, not a
inertia.
bug.
You don't have an inertia.
All
dampener.
this
You're
plastic saving my life. How dare it? It's
turned to
like,
mush
Holy
the
shit.
inside of the vehicle.
But it was like a premium feature to have a seatbelt in your car.
Yeah.
That was in our parents' lives.
Yes, honestly. So I found a already simplified version of the rule book. It's 30 pages long. It's everything you need to know. It's like Witcher easy version or whatever. I uploaded that, and this took maybe 20 seconds. I uploaded that, and I said, understand this and create as small a PDF as possible that goes over everything I would need to know to play this game without any of the fluff or whatever. And then it comes back with, keeping in mind you have a knowledgeable dungeon master. This is all you need.
It was
to
even
know.
able to decipher that out.
Yeah.
Make it a little nuanced.
It has an
Okay.
introduction, what you need to play, basic gameplay, skill checks, combat basics, damage and health, magic system, all on a page and a half.
Do you feel like if
Wow.
you read that, you would have what it takes to play the game?
If you were a
add it?
player, yes.
But but it takes
Yeah.
that out. Okay.
I feel like
So it wrote in 20 seconds a better guide than.
only thing you
All
would have a
else
hard
equal.
time with this is character creation. You wouldn't really know how to create a
kinda a little
character by
bit
reading
basic.
this.
Damn.
But
So
it
it
gave
did
you
tell
that
you.
nuance of like
it said, keeping in mind you have a knowledgeable DM.
yeah.
Or
And you
What if
played
you put-
D&D before.
What if you put what if you didn't have a knowledgeable DM?
It probably would be a lot longer.
35 pages.
it'd probably be about as long as the real one is, to be honest with you.
Do you feel I don't know, I get giddy over building I just built some furniture.
Uh-huh.
The difference between good instructions and bad instructions is a stark difference.
Oh yeah.
When
I
you,
bought some stuff online that's it just hurts. And then you get something from like IKEA.
IKEA has the best
Yeah.
I've ever seen.
Yeah.
And you're like, wow, so this is what good instructions.
Yes, and it takes a long time, and everyone likes to meme on it. But it's like that's why you're paying the less amount of price. But their instructions will get you there, and it's like
It's clear.
it's so clear. You don't ever make. I've built things where I've made like 5 mistakes because it doesn't tell you how to orient, like what orientation it is,
Yeah.
and then you realize, oh shit, it's backwards. Of course it is. 50-50 chance is never 50-50 when you're building something. It's 90-10.
I rarely ever make mistakes when I buy IKEA furniture. Like rarely.
Yeah.
I would say maybe once or twice, and we have a lot of IKEA furniture. If we buy anything else from anywhere, there's always like, damn it, you gotta take that screw out and like start over.
So imagine you could build a model. IKEA probably has 10,000 SKUs in their inventory.
Yeah.
You know, you could take that data set and take the instructions that are already phenomenal and then homogenize that for we only want to have, because really they have like screws and nails to tack in some of the back stuff. They have that really interesting it's like a screw and then basically like a long tooth that you can hook onto with those. I forget what they're called, but they're like the fat discs that you slide in and it grabs like the long tooth and pulls it tight. I don't. Yeah, it's the first time I ever saw it. It was from IKEA. Now they're sort of ubiquitous in any furniture building. But and then you got wood dowels and things like that. There's like anytime I've built anything from IKEA, there's like 5 or 6 hardware parts. So they've already like minimized that. So imagine you're a company, you pay for this software, right? That has already been trained on the industry standard, basically ripping off these other ones. And you say, hey, I'm building this furniture, and build me an instruction set that not only makes my manufacturing process simplified, but also is extremely readable to someone who's building it. We're already there. I feel like we're almost.
I think we are.
If we're not almost there, we're there.
I think we're there.
Or if we're not there, we're almost there. It's unbelievable. And then you have the humans that layer on it that can make, like that's the thing. People go, well, I always see that some people online like, but look here, it's wrong. Well, you identified that. Give that feedback and correct it, and then you get a better answer next time.
Yeah.
Let it be a feedback loop.
Or think about how much time you saved doing any of the other work, and then you had to identify one thing.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
I have it write me emails all the time, and sometimes it'll add things where it's like, that doesn't sound like me or whatever, but it doesn't have any idea of who I am. So then we can make tweaks, and you just give it a little feedback loop. But the idea that it's like you can give it a shitty prompt, and then it comes back with maybe something slightly off. I don't
How
see that as a
dare it
negative.
not be immaculate?
Yeah.
Like,
So
it's already
those were-
better than anything you could ever do it elsewhere.
Oh,
but-
dude. Yeah. So that's what I wanted to talk about DeepSeek because that kind of took the market by storm, and I've been tracking it, and the fact that it can run locally and all the other stuff
That's
it's promised.
crazy.
We'll see how much is just Chinese propaganda. China shit. We'll see. Who knows? But
knows?
it's still exciting. I love the competition. That's what I get excited
When's
about.
the last time we saw a competition on this level?
I
I mean, the tech world's always been very competitive. Yes.
very.
But this is like, I feel like another level.
I feel like we're seeing it in a couple things, like the space race comes to mind. Like
Yeah.
we didn't even talk about
This
it.
is like
but
Cold War shit.
Blue Origin just launched New Glenn. I think I shared that with you
Yeah,
guys,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
they just launched it, which is I think it's currently the largest payload reusable rocket. I think it ended up, I don't know how successful their first launch was in terms of what they were trying to do, but it took off and hit orbit and stuff, and it could take like 73 tons to space reusable. Right now, the Falcon 9 can do like 25 to 50 or something like that. Starship can do 250, but they haven't fully got it yet. They've been able to launch a couple times, but so that's going to blow it up. So we're getting this competition into space where we've already seen just the idea of reusable rockets have dropped the cost of space flight orders of magnitude down. It's a really great time to get in there and compete. And I think these tools make it easier for people to go out there and be entrepreneurs. I think it also has, for as many people that it inspires, it also probably intimidates people like, oh, how can I compete against? But man, there's more tools now
I think
at
it's
your
less
disposal.
about like, people need to understand it's less about, I'm never going to be able to compete with AI, and more about what do I do to utilize AI better than this
Yeah.
person? Like, because you're going to have to figure out a way to integrate yourself with AI, not compete against it.
and provide some kind of
Yeah.
value. Yeah.
Speaking of prices, I saw you also had the GTA thing. You want to talk about that?
Oh yeah, thanks. I saw this article last week, I think it was, where other developers are hoping that GTA comes out at the $100 price point. And the idea is if GTA does it, then they can all sort of follow suit. And I'm talking like the base part of the game is $100. And we can sit here and make arguments. It's like, I honestly would probably be in the camp of if it was 100, they spent $2.5 billion on this game. They probably deserve it. But if they do it, all these other games that are sort of half-ass shit games from AAA, they're just going to follow
Quadruple A.
suit. Yeah, quadruple A. Skull and Bones.
I'm
or
more
whatever.
concerned of the slippery slope of what that means for everything else.
Yeah.
Like everybody going to 100. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I don't want that to be the new standard.
Yeah.
Um,
I
it
kind
has
of
been
which-
a long time since. I mean, it's been
It's
$60.
$60 for. It hasn't
it's
gone up.
since the 90s.
but it's sort of split right now. I see a lot of games 60. I see also a lot of games 70.
Yeah.
So we have seen that.
And we have microtransactions now.
Yeah.
We have
Live
free
service models.
live service. Yeah, we have free to play games. So there's a lot of stuff to put in the equation of like, yes, it stayed $60, but also they found other ways to make money
make
that I
money.
think are way more profitable. Where it's almost come to the point of like we're a console, right? A console they sell at a loss
yeah.
to then get money.
I think.
Would a live service game sell at a loss to make money
Yeah,
on the
on the microtransactions.
True. My personal opinion. this
Actually,
is
I mean
kind
they
of-
do, right? I mean a lot of games are free. That's a loss.
That's their
Yeah.
whole model.
That's
yeah.
a loss, and then they make money on everything else.
Fortnite.
Fortnite.
Yeah, they can't shovel enough money into that game. I kind of have like a dubious idea. Like the only ones that will be able to command $100 price tag are the AAA developers because they can go in. Like an indie developer doesn't have the brand recognition of some of these titles.
Yeah, we get Hollow
Where
Knight
it's
for
like-
$100.
Yeah, like nobody's gonna be like, yeah,
Spelunky.
yeah,
$100.
right? So it's going to be really like the AAA studios that can capitalize on that, and I think it will just further accelerate their downfall.
True, yeah. Like if I mean, yeah.
Assassin's Creed Shadows, like
If it's $100, I'm not getting it.
yeah,
I'm not. And then
I wouldn't even buy GTA for $100.
you really you don't
I
think
really-
so?
I'm not big enough.
I'm not a
fan to
GTA guy
justify
either,
that.
but it's like one of those games that just everyone owns.
I bought GTA 5 shortly after launch, if not at launch. I played through it once and haven't touched it in over 10 years.
Can I share something with you guys? I think it's kind of interesting that GTA 6 is coming out now because I would have thought that they, considering what they've promised with this game, I would have thought they would have waited for like next generation consoles to just sort of.
They
juice
did that with GTA. It's because they're going to carry it over the same way they did GTA 5. GTA
don't you
5
feel like
came
we're
at the very
really-
end of PS3,
Did it?
Xbox 360's lifespan as well.
Because that was just my comment. It was like I feel like if we're at the middle point, fine. But I feel like we're at the. We
feel
just
like
looked
we're
at
at
it
the
last
end, yeah.
episode. We're like at the end of
They're
the
gonna do
natural
this.
cadence.
Then they're going to re-release it
Oh,
next
So
generation.
you're thinking with a
and then
bigger
they're
brain.
gonna,
than me.
yeah, they're gonna.
Yeah.
They have a plan. to
They-
make
I
as
mean,
much
they
money as
probably-
Yeah.
if, dubious, if I put on my dubious hat, they probably already have a working next gen model.
that it's
that
not
they're-
going to come out until
That they already know like
Full
the
launch.
specs
Oh, yeah.
of the PS6?
I'm sure.
No way. You think they already know what the PlayStation 6 and Xbox One X XR
Maybe.
One?
I would say maybe.
XRX.
I think highly likely. I
Is
think they get the
Xbox
developer
even-
kits.
are they even
I think
competing?
they're
I
done.
think they're done.
I think they're done.
they're
I think
Xbox is like,
yeah.
fuck it, fine.
I think they're
Yeah.
done with their console.
Game Pass,
market.
here you go.
Yeah. But I guess you could speculate, right?
Yeah.
Like you look at the natural. It's like okay, each console doubles in performance, so you can kind of maybe know, but you still don't know.
I don't
And you
think
also
that-
don't have the architecture.
Yeah,
of
I
what
think
they're
they don't
using.
financially gain on waiting for the. I think that
They just need to come out when they're ready.
they're going to come out with it. They'll come out when they're ready. Billions of dollars are going to be made. 2 years later, they're going to come out with the next gen version. It's going to be barely different. They're going to add like maybe two things, and then they're going to get $1 billion from that.
Well, see, and that to me, that would be the incentive for Sony or Xbox if they continue to give them like the insider info of this is what we've got. Like, do you want to like we want you as a what do they call when the game comes out with the system?
A launch title.
We want you to be like a semi-launch, like remaster launch title. Here's the info we got. Can you do it?
Well,
I could totally see that.
I remember when they announced the PS4 version of GTA 5 or the 7th generation version. And everyone was like, "Oh my god, it really looked the exact same." It didn't look that much different, to be honest
Right.
with you. The main thing was they added a first person mode.
Oh,
And everyone was
remember
like,
that.
So
"Oh
that's a
my
feature
God,"
that they
was like
sell
a
you.
feature. Other than that, like maybe the lighting was, and I think No, at that time it was still like 30 frames. It wasn't
Does the PlayStation 5 have ray tracing?
Certain games.
like
Zenless, Zone Zero.
Well, so it has the capability but in the hardware.
it does,
Yeah.
but there's like a stipulation on that. I'm not as much of a tech guy to know why, but it's like some people have argued it's more like artificial ray tracing.
Yeah, it's fake.
It's not. It's
Did
not
the new
true.
Indiana Jones game come out on PS5?
I don't think so because it was a Bethesda title,
Xbox.
which is Xbox only.
Okay.
I played it through Game Pass.
So the new Indiana Jones game, and there's another one. I'm blanking on the name of it. It's actually kind of interesting. So those games required ray tracing, which is only a feature of RTX 2000 series and above. Well, and I don't know what the AMD equivalent of that is, but you have to be on basically modern hardware. So it is like, and more games are starting to sort of require this just because of how they build their games. And so what's interesting is GTA, yeah, that could be another one of those upgrade features. Like, oh, this has ray tracing in the PS6 edition.
PS5 does have ray tracing. Historically, games are not able to take advantage of this feature without
Massive penalty.
without reducing performance.
Oh, dude, ray tracing
console, so-
slams on PC. Like,
Yeah.
it'll fuck you by a third easily in terms of FPS.
PS5 Pro, one of the benefits is they generally can go up to 3 times faster than a PS5 while that feature's on.
Yeah.
Not something that your typical gamer's really going to.
Well, ray tracing was maybe 2020 or 2019 came out, right? Ray tracing was probably a year old when the PS5 originally launched, so it's like not even that old. I mean, so it's very new concept. But we are seeing on the PC world games requiring like you have the hardware to run ray tracing, and if you have any of the GTX series graphics cards, you can't run it. If you have RTX graphics card, then you can. And so it's interesting that that's sort of like now it's like this might not apply to you guys, but DirectX 12. Like there's certain hardware you have to be able to run DirectX 12, and on PC that's a divide when DirectX 11, DirectX 10, like that marks a hardened line generational. You either have the hardware or you don't to run that. So anyway, that's what I want to talk about.
Good stuff.
Dang.
Did we run for another hour with me joining?
Just about, yeah.
Well, we can push it. Suits LA.
Yes. You already did the where can people find us because you did that.
But then I took it back,
We're doing it again.
so I got to say it again.
All
because
right.
then you talked about that.
Yeah.
So.
Where can people find us?
Right here on YouTube.
Right now.
My
Right here.
address is
Right now.
they just like pull up.
Like if you come to
My IP
1-8,
address.
you can find us right here on YouTube every Tuesday at 7 p.m. Pacific time. Sometimes we go a little late. Sometimes we feel a little crazy.
Whoa.
Get a little wild.
Get a little wild.
Wild and
We stream-
crazy guy.
Yeah, we stream for 3 hours. No, 2 hours.
I'm getting delirious.
I can't remember.
That
But yeah,
heater's roasting, yeah.
come join us. Come check us out. Come and leave a comment. Say hi. We have a lot of fun, and we wanna talk to you guys. So yeah,
All right, well, remember, I guess I'll say it.
I was
Yes.
gonna say, you got the commander.
you got it.
For the good KD, you get the dub.
Bye, guys.
See ya.
Bye.